Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on the channel. In this episode, we played a few hands at Red Rock. Didn't get involved much, so not a whole lot of content there for you guys. It was a really short session, so I played a session at the Aria a couple days later. Got a lot of hands in that one, so I kind of squished the two together and made one vlog out of it, and it was a lot of fun. So we're going to get right into the episode, but first, I want to thank everybody that's watched and subscribed up to this point. So what I want you guys to do is, if you're watching this video, do me a huge favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's go take this journey together, all right? So with all that being said, let's get into the episode.
We're in the poker room now. We're just waiting for a seat. Rags. Rags.
Alright guys, so we've been here for a couple minutes now, and this is actually the first hand that we get involved in, and it's a good one. We look down at the beautiful American Airlines pocket aces, ace of spades, ace of diamonds. There's a couple limps. We raise it up to $15 in middle position. We get a call from the button, and it's going to fold around to one of the limpers, and he is also going to make the call. So we're going to go three ways to a flop here, and the flop is going to come out King, King, 10 with two diamonds. He checks, and we're going to go ahead and bet range here. We're going to have all the strong kings and obviously an overpair, so, and full houses. So we're going to go ahead and bet $25. We're going to get a call from the button, and the limper is going to fold. So we're going to go heads up to a turn card. Now the turn card rolls off. It is going to be, let's wait for it. It is going to be I'll just go ahead and tell you now. It's going to be the Queen of Hearts. Not a fantastic card, not the worst card. We're going to go ahead and check it over to the button. We do have a showdown driven hand. Also, we're going to be protected here because we're also going to have a lot of full houses in our range when we check right here. So we check it over to him, and he bets $25, a quarter pot. Can't fold for a quarter pot when we have an overpair and a gutter ball to the straight. Well, the river brings that gutter ball in, so we check it over to him again, planning probably to call any reasonable bet, which is exactly what he does. He bets third pot $50. We just put the money in and hope to be good, and sure enough, we are chopping against ace queen. So we had him in pretty rough shape until the river card, but we're going to go ahead and chop this one up. Alright guys, this is the very next shuffle after the aces hand, and I should have had my phone ready. I did not. I'm terrible. There were a couple limps, and I raised queens to $10. The button in the small blind called, so we went three ways to a flop, which comes 8, 5, 7 rainbow. The small blind checks it over to me. This is a board that sometimes I'll check and sometimes I'll bet. With my exact hand, it's a hand that's strong but still needs a lot of protection. There's not a lot of turn cards we're going to be in love with. Anything 10 or lower is not going to be fantastic to see. So we bet for some protection and some value. The button folds and the small blind calls. So we're going to go heads up to the turn card. Turn card comes off the 4 of spades, bringing in that BDFD. Small blind checks it over again. This is a card that we don't want to bet very often, so we go ahead and check it back, and we're going to see a river card. River comes off the ace of spades. Small blind checks. This is a card. Having the queen of spades is good. We're going to bet, probably taking a bet fold line, but luckily it doesn't come to that. He folds pretty quickly, and we take this one down. Alright guys, so the next hand we get involved in, there has been an under the gun limp for $2, comes around to us on the button. We raise up the ace-7 of clubs in position to $10. We get a call from the small blind, the big blind, and the limper, so we're going to go 4 ways to a flop here. Comes down pretty good for our hand. Ace high with 2 clubs. Fantastic news. The blinds check, under the gun now donk leads for $10. And action's now on me. You can go either way with raising or calling. In my experience, I've noticed that in this spot, a donk lead is most of the time a weak ace, a flush draw, or maybe a jack. So I actually choose to raise here because most of the time people don't fold those weak aces, flush draws. They might fold the jack, but I'm trying to get more money in versus what's most likely an ace or a flush draw, which I have beat. So gets around to the under the gun player, and he pretty quickly folds. And it is very disappointing to me. Maybe I should have just called. I don't know.
Rags.
Check.
Rags.
Okay, so that was probably the worst session in the history of vlogging of all time. Didn't get involved in a pot over $70 maybe in an hour and a half. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got all my awesome B-roll footage, so I have to do something with it. So I guess I'll do the hands I did play, and then maybe I'll try and play another session tonight or tomorrow and squish it into one video. I'm not sure yet. But for now, we're leaving Red Rock, into the game for 300, out for 378 in an hour and a half. So I guess you guys will see what happens next.
Welcome to the Aria.
Alright guys, so this is the first hand we get involved in at the Aria. This is a new day. So there's a limper. We open up ace-king offsuit, 215 over the limper. There's a call from middle position, and it gets back around to the limper, and he calls as well. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop. The flop comes out jack 6-3 with 2 diamonds. Checks to me. I should probably be checking, I guess, multi-way with this board. But I got 2 overs, backdoor, straight draw, so I like to take the aggressive route in bed. The middle position player to my left calls, gets back around to the person who limped. He check raises to 75, and we're just done with the hand.
Rags. Rags. Rags.
Okay, so in this hand, we have straddled under the gun for $6. There has been 1 caller of the straddle. Folds all the way around to me in the straddle again with 8-9 offsuit. We are going to check, and we're going to go heads up to a flop, which comes out pretty good. 9-8-4 rainbow top 2. Gonna go ahead and lead right out here, $10. No reason to get tricky or, try and do anything fancy here. So we go ahead and bet $10. The opponent in this hand makes the call, and we go heads up to the turn card. The turn card comes off. It is the King of Hearts. Doesn't change a whole lot, bringing in a BDFD. But that's about it. So we go ahead and bet 20, and he pretty quickly makes the call, leaving himself about $80 behind, give or take. So I've already made up my mind on the turn once he does that I'm just going to jam whatever river comes out. The river comes off. It is going to be the ace of spades. Sticking to the plan. 2 pair, just sticking it in. He snap folds, and we win. Alright guys, so in this hand we have opened up the beautiful 7-8 of spades to $10 from the hijack position. We got 1 caller from the cutoff, and both of the blinds call as well. So we're going to go 4 ways to a flop here, and what a beautiful flop it is. I couldn't have hand-picked a better flop. 4, 5, 6 with 1 spade, flopping the absolute joint. It feels good, man. The blinds check to me. This is a board I'm not going to be betting very often, so when I do, I want to choose a bigger sizing. So I bet 30 into 40. I also like a bigger sizing because this is a board that's going to connect with the blinds a lot, so they should be able to continue against bigger sizings often. But if you guys want a class on how to make the absolute minimum, I will be giving classes every Tuesday and Thursday here in Las Vegas. Alright guys, so I'm going to pause the video right here. This one is not my fault. I'm not going to take 100% of the blame for this one. We're picking up the action in the middle of the hand again, but in my defense, I was the big blind and I didn't expect this hand to go anywhere, but boy, was I wrong. It took a turn, and what a turn it took. So we're in the big blind with queen deuce offsuit. I check my option. The flop comes out queen jack deuce. I mean, how perfect is that? I go ahead and I lead 10. I get one caller. The same guy we had beat in the 9-8 hand where we flop top 2. Same guy. Well, he calls the 10. In the turn, the turn comes the deuce. So we make deuces full now. And we go ahead and lead right out for 20 again. And once again, he's going to make the call, leaving himself like $30 behind. He keeps buying in for 100. So he's always pretty short. So he calls the 20, leaving himself 30 behind. Again, it's just a situation where no matter what the river is, we're sticking it in, and that's what happens. He snap calls it off, and he mucks his cards. We don't get to know what he had, but we win the pot. All right, so this hand is actually very interesting because I make a mistake here. There's a straddle on. I didn't realize there was a straddle on, so I tried to open ace king of hearts to $10. But when the straddle's on and you throw out $10, it's just a call of the straddle. So it looks like I just limped under the gun. There's like a call or two maybe in between, and it gets around to the straddler, who's been super aggressive all night. And he raises it up to $41. So now I realize what's happened. And so like, man, I need to raise now. And I do something that I've kind of been experimenting with, and I actually really like it. I absolute min raise. I'm not saying I go from 41 to 82. That is not a min raise. I raise it up to 76. The least I can make it. So to him, it looks like a limp under the gun re-raise. Min re-raise. So I don't know. It just kind of messes with his mind a little bit. Anyway, he makes the call, leaving himself like 120, 130 behind, something like that. So we go heads up to the flop. He doesn't have that much left behind. And the flop comes out pretty perfect for us. Comes out king high, one heart. So it looks pretty good. Interestingly enough, actually, he donk jams into me on that flop. I snap it off, obviously. He has king queen, so he's got a gutter ball. We turn the 8 of hearts. That's good. Taking away some of his jack of heart outs, or the jack of heart outs, I guess. And the river comes pretty clean for us, the 6 of spades. So we go ahead and scoop an almost $400 pot. I like the way this hand played. It was fun. Alright guys, so for this hand, I'm very upset at myself. I've been doing better with having my phone out and getting the table footage at the beginning of the hand, not after I've already raised pre or on the flop. So I feel like I'm doing better with that. Still not perfect, but better. And then this night, I get a sandwich and my phone isn't on the table, and so I don't have any table footage of this hand, and it is the biggest hand of the night, and it frustrates me to no end. So I'm gonna have to tell you guys this way. I know it's not ideal, but it's the way I gotta do it because it's the biggest hand of the night, so you have to know about it. So there's a middle position limp. I'm next to act with the ace of spades and the ace of hearts. I raise it up to 15. The guy on my direct left calls, gets back to the limper, and he calls. So we go 3 ways now to a flop. Flop comes out king of diamonds, 8 of diamonds, 3 of hearts. The limper checks. I bet 25. Guy on my left calls the 25. The limper now check raises to 65. It's back on me. I mean, if he's got a set of 8s or 3s, he's just gonna get the money. Could have a flush draw, so, and I'm not really worried about the guy to my left. So I rejam, having everybody covered. The guy that check raised has about maybe 350 to start the hand. The guy on my left maybe has 200 to start the hand. So I just jam, having everybody covered. Guy on my left folds, gets back to the guy on my right, and he goes deep into the tank. And well, that's good news. So he doesn't have a set. So now I really want to call. And some time goes by and he eventually calls. So we're gonna see a run out here. The turn comes in offsuit 7.
What's in the box?
And then the river comes in offsuit 7.
What's in the box?
So now we have 2 pair. He turns over king 8. What took you so long, bro? The good news is we counterfeit his 2 pair, so we have a better 2 pair, and we scoop a pretty big pot. So we're looking good for the rest of the night. Let's get back to the action. Alright guys, so since the aces hand, haven't really kept that momentum going, haven't won any big pots, haven't really lost any big pots, just kind of slowly bleeding chips away. And I think part of the problem is, when I get a lot of chips in front of me, I feel like subconsciously I'm a little more splashy and loose than I should probably be playing. And this hand is a perfect example of that. In this hand, a young Asian male with stacks of 10 high, so $50 stacks, he opens it up to $10 in early position. I flat to put Jack 7 of diamonds in middle position. The button calls as well. We go 3 ways to a flop. Flop was ace, jack 6, 2 spades, 1 diamond. So we flop second pair, backdoor flush draw. The pre-flop raiser bets out 15. I have second pair and a backdoor flush draw, so I go ahead and make a pretty standard call, I think. The button folds. The turn comes off the 10 of clubs, not one of the cards we were looking for. It doesn't improve us at all. He checks. We go ahead and check it back. Pretty standard. The river comes off. It's another ace, so this is very interesting now. In actions on him, and he bets 25. And I think against this player type, against this action, against the line he took, smells like some sort of weak ace or maybe queens or kings. He would probably play him the exact same way. And I just get really sticky here because I'm like, oh, it's only $25 and I have like 1,000 right here. So I'll just pay to see it. You know, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about where I just bleed and I just need to fold in this spot. But I get super sticky, super stationy. I'm a payoff wizard and I go ahead and call. And sure enough, he rolls over the kings, which makes perfect sense. Alright guys, here's another perfect example of how I just kind of give away my chips sometimes when I have a lot of them and I get a little more splashy than I should pre-flop. And it gets me in trouble post-flop. So in this hand I have straddled under the gun to 6. There is a hijack open to 21. The cutoff calls the 21, folds to me, and I make an extremely loose defend with jack deuce suited. If you're gonna play this hand, just 3-bet it. Don't flat it. That's a bad idea. But I flat it. Flop comes out ace, queen, 5, 2 spades. So now I have to see a turn card. So you see how my mistakes compound into more mistakes. Into me putting more money into this pot when I shouldn't have been in it in the first place. So I check. The raiser bets 25. The cutoff calls. I obviously have to call. It's 3 ways to the turn. It's an offsuit 8. I check. The raiser checks, the cutoff bets 100, I have to fold, and see, I lost, what, 40, almost 50 more dollars than I should have. I should have just folded pre. Alright, so here's a very interesting hand, actually. I kind of like this hand. Excited to go over it. So, in this hand, I have straddled to $6 from under the gun. We are 5-handed at this time. That's semi-important. We're 5-handed, we're short-handed. There's an open to 25, comes around to me in the straddle. I defend 10-8 of clubs, that's fine, I think. Flop comes out 9 of hearts, 7 of clubs, 3 of hearts, so we flop. 1 overcard, backdoor flush draw, open-ended straight draw. I check it over to the original raiser and he bets 20. And I check raise to 65. I think this is a great board for me to check raise. I'm gonna have sets of 3s, sets of 7s. I'm gonna have 9-7, possibly 7-3 suited. Those are my value hands. I'm gonna have bluffs as well I can balance with. I'm gonna have heart draws. I'm gonna have straight draws. So really good spot to check raise, I think. Problem is, I check raise to 65 and he jams for about 230 total, I was told. So now I'm in a spot because I've already put 65 in. It's 230 total. So I got to put in something around $160 to win a pot that's going to end up being 500 and change or something like that. I did the math. I can't remember. So I knew it was close. I knew it was a close spot. Smells a lot like an overpair. And against an overpair, I had to figure out my equity so I could figure out if I was getting the right price to call and draw. In the moment, I actually ended up folding. I'm going to give it away. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! I folded this hand. I knew it was a close spot, but I folded. But I want to tell you guys that I did come home. I did come home, and I ran it through Equilab. And against a range of all the overpairs, all the sets, I put pocket 8s in there too, I think. Against top pairs with the ace of hearts, and against all the flush draws and all the straight draws. My 10-8 of clubs is actually somewhere around 35 to 36% against that range. And I did the math, and I was actually I needed to be 32% or better to make the call. So in actuality, I was wrong to fold if I ranged him correctly, but it was a close spot. All right, guys, the last hand to go over, not terribly that important or significant to the session, but once again, just kind of goes to show you how the end of my session went, where I was just kind of slowly bleeding chips. So in this hand, there were several limps to me in the small blind. I want to see a flop with this hand, but I don't want to call out of position in the small blind, so I go ahead and raise it up to $20 over all the limpers. And the guy that had limped under the gun, he now jams for $60. So it's $40 more to me to call. And I just he's got aces every time, right? Aces or kings, right? The old limp under the gun rejam. So it's like 40 more, like what do you do? So I was like, you know what? I knew it was coming to the end of the night, and I was just like, I gotta call 40 to win like 130, so I end up just deciding to go ahead and calling it. Flop comes out, king high. I don't remember the rest of the cards because it didn't matter, because he had jammed with
Ace high.
king queen. So I was ahead pre-flop. I was hemming and hawing over this decision, and I was ahead. He outflopped me.
So we're done at the Aria. End up into the game for 300, out for 718. Not a bad night, about 4 hours of playing. I'm quite pissed at myself because I got some food, and so I wasn't recording. I put my phone away, and I was eating, and as I ate, the biggest hand of the night happened. And so I'm frustrated I didn't get it on film. Not film. This isn't film. On digital. I didn't record it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode. If you made it this far in the video, I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out all the way to the end. I know this one was kind of long, but I played a lot of hands. And I love playing poker, and I love talking about poker. So inevitably, I think my vlogs will be a little long, just because I get a little long-winded sometimes talking about poker. So speaking of long, this actually took me like 14 or 15 hours to edit and put together and everything like that. So if you made it this far in the video, do me a huge favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment. I like reading the comments, even if it's bashing me on how bad I am at poker. That's fine. I still want to read it. I still want to know about it. And I'll probably respond to you if you comment. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.